Welcome to Really Raha, the podcast for coaches and creators who want to build luxury brands without burning out. I'm Raha, business energetics coach, PhD student, and sponsored skateboarder. I went from serving tables and hustling every client to building six-figure systems and offers that sell in my sleep. Here we talk all things raw when it comes to business strategy, nervous system regulation, and stepping into your goddess frequency with tangible, actionable steps to help you scale to consistent 10K plus months. If you're here, you know freedom is your birthright. Let's get into it. Hi, welcome back to the Really Raha podcast. Here we are, episode 18. And to give you some context, I am in my new apartment and I thought that I could take this episode and talk to you about how I'm really doing. I want to remind you, if you haven't watched episode 1, that I made this podcast. I mean, it's called the Really Raha podcast. I really want you to see the rawness of my journey. And it's incredibly difficult to do that with short form content, reels, TikToks, even Instagram stories. So that moment for me of knowing that I needed to have a platform for long form content is for episodes like this. So in this episode, I'm really peeling back the layers of the onion. This is going to be a very vulnerable episode so that I can share with you what it's really like being a business owner, a multi-six-figure coach that has things in life happening and moves and adjustments while still running a business. And I think these are the parts that are not shown enough on social media because it's kind of a small platform. So I want you to see, like, this isn't always sunshine and rainbows and days that are always to the moon every single day. And while I do express that as much as I can with short form content, I really want to share with you the journey, the depth. So in this episode, I want to share with you what this move has been like, what this adjustment has been like. And I also want you to know that it's important to lean into the ebbs and flows, lean into the fact that as business owners, there are seasons. You will notice that you might have a season where everything feels amazing. And there might be a season where it feels like you didn't really do much. But the recognition of the gratitude is something that I'm going to be coming back as a cornerstone as I go throughout this episode, because the complexity of the journey for the month of December was so deep and so raw for me. But whenever I have these experiences in general, I'm always finding gratitude. I'm always coming back to that as my default mode, as my baseline. And there was a lot of fire frequency this month in December. And here we are in the new year, just barely. So that contrast is something that I really want to speak to you on. So the month of December, I knew that I was going to be doing a lot on my nervous system. I finished fall semester. I'm so grateful for being on the other side of that. It was a very heavy semester with papers and it was more difficult. The classes were more difficult. We're getting more deeper into the research aspect, which I enjoy statistics and probability in the lens of research. And as a PhD student, you need to really understand that, because also too, I'm doing mixed methods, most likely, for my dissertation of being able to study revenue room and the numbers and also the qualitative part of the journey, the subjective nature of who's inside my program. So it's going to be quantitative and qualitative. So these classes, they're going to get more difficult. And I finished it. I had a little break and we went to Chicago for Christmas and I got really sick, really, really sick. Something really took it out of me and we were only there for 3 days. So I started feeling it on the way there. It was that feeling. I haven't been sick in so long, like 4 years, honestly, too, with how much I was going through in December. That voice didn't feel as strong of being able to counter the limiting beliefs of the sickness. So unfortunately, I kind of let it take over me and there was not much that I felt like I could do. I had full body aches, restless legs, a migraine that was so bad I couldn't keep anything in my stomach for like a full 48 hours plus 72.
And that was the whole time I was in Chicago. I had like a day where I was out of bed and unpacked presents, but that whole first day, I'm grateful that I wasn't alone because that was before I moved and I lived by myself. I'm so grateful that I had Chippy in LA with his nanny taking care of him, because the thought of being able to get out of bed and look at any sort of light outside and walk him, I couldn't even imagine what I would have done. So although I was very sick, although it was my vacation and I was with Mike's family, I'm grateful for the circumstances that it was. So I had one day after returning, Saturday, to pack up my apartment to the most that I wanted to, because Sunday was moving day. So the timeline I'm showing you of how quickly things happened and how quickly I needed to just constantly shift and shift and shift. Trusted myself, I was still very sick when we came back. It was just mostly like the chest and the coughing, but I had my spurt. I'm a generator. My human design sign is a generator. So the way that I work is in bursts. I rest so hard and I play and work just as hard. So that's the way that I've learned to trust when I'm in the flow of just letting my body have what it needs. I know that I'm going to come back hard. And that took a lot of trust as an entrepreneur to know that I could give myself that rest. And I will also say, this is in luteal. Like, I'm in luteal doing all this, experiencing all of this, being sick and coming back and packing and still running my business. Sunday was moving day and we moved my apartment from LA to Carlsbad / Encinitas, North Coast, San Diego. So it was about an hour and a half drive, no traffic. And it was Sunday, so it was perfect. And we did the whole moving truck in one move. The movers did. They even helped me pack, which was incredible. And I'm so grateful for my resourcefulness, because I reached out to this moving company and asked them if they wanted to do a collaboration, a partnership, and they said yes. And we did 50% off my move in exchange for some videos and reviews and so on. So I'm grateful for my Really Raha platform, my skate account with about 80K in followers, so that I can take advantage of opportunities like this and to do it in a way that feels authentic. It was a fun brand. It was cute. Piece of cake. My nickname is Cake in my relationship with Mike. So everything about it seemed so fitting. It was authentic. So grateful for my resourcefulness. It was still an expense, still expensive, but my energy is more expensive to me. I needed to know that I could show up for my business, show up for my life, show up for recovering my body and my immune system and my nervous system. To me, nothing can possibly substitute that return. Nothing. I wasn't going to get a U-Haul and pack everything myself and go through all of that while being sick. So I'm really grateful that past version of me knew to do this, because I didn't know I was going to get sick. I didn't know that everything was going to feel like it was hitting at the same time. So I'm grateful for that. And it still took many trips going back in the car. I'm grateful for Mike for coming back with me to my apartment, getting all the little things. For example, I had a red curb. You know those parking curbs that you pull up and you park at? As skaters, we like to skate them. So about 5 years ago, someone gave me one, or 6 years ago almost, someone gave me one as a housewarming present. So I had a giant curb in my apartment and it needed to go at the end of it. So it was so heavy. It was so heavy. Oh, God. I'm probably going to have some tears coming up in this episode, because I'm over here reflecting on how difficult that was to just put one foot in front of the other, knowing that like you're eating this bowl of spaghetti that like never ends. Like, honestly, that's what it felt like. It's like we did the whole move and going back to my apartment, there's still these little things here or there that were actually like big things that took hours. And I just remember thinking like, okay, I gotta lean into the fun. I gotta lean into the journey. But it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It was hard on my immune system. And as much of the work that I've done, and even just having a coach, I'm so grateful that I have a nervous system coach in my corner for the past 5 years, because I don't know what I would have done without that. And God, as hard as it was in the moment, it could have been so much more difficult. So once again, just cornerstone of gratitude. But moving that curb out, taking like the little tiles off of my patio, like all these like little tedious things, taking boxes and boxes to Goodwill. And oh God, it was a lot. And I'm so grateful to be on the other side of it and being able to cleanse and throw out so much and bring in new energy to this apartment. So we did that, and Mike helped me so much. And there's an adjustment too to living with someone, you know? In my mind, I think I underestimated that part a little bit because I lived by myself for the past 6 years, just me and my boys. And Mike was over all the time. It's like being in this business together, being skateboarders together. There's a lot of multiple relationships we have together, and he would come over frequently. So we found our ways to have our space in my 1-bedroom apartment. So we knew, like, with a 2-bed, 2-bath, we definitely have space. We definitely have like time to ourselves together. But it's also an adjustment. It's an adjustment. There's certain things that I got to think about my new routine for, how I play my Beatles in the morning, how I unplug. So I'm grateful for the space that we have in here. It's huge. It's 1,500 square feet. Like I said, 2-bed, 2-bath. He's got his own shower. I've got my own shower. He's got his own closet. So gratitude. And, there's still some unknowns in the air, still some things that are like loops being open that I just trust being open. I haven't converted any of my addresses yet. I did my change of address, but my health insurance, it was LA based. So there's this question mark of, okay, I got to do something with my health insurance. I got to do something with my dentist. There's still like unknowns that I just learned and leaned into how to be certain in the uncertainty, because as entrepreneurs, this is a journey of uncertainty. So, it's like I got to find a new vet for Chippy. Not to mention, I think I underestimated the whole having boxes everywhere in my apartment. I like to have things clean. I like to have things unpacked. I like to know exactly where everything is. So it was very hard for me to focus on the other parts of my life, knowing that my life is all in boxes right now. But once again, I'm grateful for knowing that the way that my body works and my energy works is it comes in bursts and flows. So I let myself settle in the way that I needed to, and I had my one full flow. There's still little boxes here or there, my video games, things to put in storage, but that's it. A couple bags in the bedroom. The kitchen is completely unpacked, which to me was the priority. Our Kangen machine is hooked up. Thank you, Mike. That is our water. That is our energy. That is our hydration. So those common spaces and things are hooked up and ready. But there's going to be little things to do here or there. I was able to have that space to go skate for the first time yesterday since coming here, because we've also been experiencing in LA, but also San Diego, nonstop rain. It's clear right now looking out the window, but we had 8 days of rain. And that was when I was in Chicago, there were also 4 days of rain. So there's just been a lot of rain. So being able to skate in the pockets where it's not raining, and there is a private skate park facility that is nearby as well that Mike has access to, and I can as well. So grateful for finding ways to skate and having that outlet for my energy. And I'm grateful too that on New Year's Eve, I signed my final client for Revenue Room Beta. So, she's such a beauty. She's such a beauty, such a beautiful story, so much alignment. So I'm so grateful. I had about, 25 or so discovery calls in the past few weeks, bringing people in. And I'm so grateful for finding the boundaries and knowing when to not invite someone in, knowing not to say yes to people that didn't feel aligned for the frequency of the group. That's very hard for me as a Libra that I did a lot of work on as a business owner, is truly saying yes to alignment. And please don't get me wrong. In the beginning of my business, it is very important, and for you as well. You probably remember this in the very beginning. It is important to say yes, to find ways to lean into the growth of what it's like to practice and get your reps and have clients gain momentum. But as an established business owner, it is critical for me and my energy to be able to say yes to those that I know that I can fully help, fully support, that does feel like a full body yes in my body. And when it doesn't, to say that it doesn't. And as Libra, that I leaned into that being a strength of mine, is really respecting and honoring my energetic boundaries. So I capped the beta at 5, and we have 5 in there. And I also have a one-on-one client outside of Revenue Room. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And because it's so aligned, because every person inside aligns with my values and aligns with my frameworks and process, I'm already having so much fun. And my business also, I generated about 30K in sales in the month of December. So grateful. So grateful. This was a milestone in my business. This is the most money I've ever made in a month. And one of which was a 10.5K day. So I'm grateful that although my expenses were just as high, that I have, and what Mike has said to me, he's like, you have this unique ability of being able to make a lot of money. And knowing where the work is for me is really looking at my expenses and starting to minimize my expenses. And if you're listening to this and you feel like your expenses are high and it feels like the ups and downs of an entrepreneurial journey, I want you to know that that's normal. Like, I really want to humanize it for you, especially in the very beginning, like first year, first 2 years of your business. It feels like high highs and low lows. And being able to have systems in your business and solid frameworks and strategies, that was what did it for me. That was what made my business feel more predictable. It made my business feel like I wasn't just guessing how I was going to make money next month, or the clients that were coming in. Running ads has helped me so much, where organic content is not the only reason how I'm going to bring people in. Investing in so that I had solid systems so that my energy can carry a container like revenue, so that it can carry the people inside. So I have, 6 clients right now. I have 11 active WhatsApp conversations with them, because for beta, they each have their own DM channel with me and Mike to ask all their DM questions. So we really prioritize fulfillment. We really prioritize client success. And this is also why I'm shifting into a group only format with limited one-on-one upgrades only for the people who are inside. So being in this season that I've shifted into of having a core offer, group offer, Revenue Room, it's going to give me so much time and energy back so that I can give more to Revenue Room and to not have any extra work for one client versus 50. And that's what the group scalable model does. And as I expand bigger and bigger into Revenue Room, I bring in support coaches. I bring people to really hold space for everyone so they feel seen and heard. Just reflecting on this past month, I took some time before this episode to think about, okay, like, what could I have done differently in this season? Because even with the holidays and everything, it was an extra layer. So being on the other side of December, being in January and reflecting, and anything that I could give you for when you have a lot of things happening in one time, I would have taken a break for the holidays from my clients. I probably wouldn't have scheduled the one-on-one calls, and I would have taken time off WhatsApp. Now, when I am with my clients, when I am connecting with them, I'm on top of the world. That's what gives me energy. But I think I needed a little extra time for myself during this time while I was sick. When you have so much masculine energy and fire frequency and hustle with the parts of your life, it's really easy to feel like you need to be on, that you need to be just constantly supporting, when really what your clients need the most from you is for you to take care of yourself, for you to give yourself rest, and to trust that everything you're doing is enough. And when you're in luteal, everything feels amplified. So as a business owner, it's so important to look out for a future self. Like, for example, I batch my content every week so that I don't feel like I need to constantly be on. That was huge for me. And when you have these systems in place that look out for your future self, even like meal prep, batching is like meal prep. You can make the high quality posts, the high quality meals the day of, 3 times a day, 2 times a day, or you could take one full flow every week so that your nervous system can focus on the other things that you have going on in your life. So being able to look out for your future self, being able to know what you need and anticipate your own needs before it happens, and to trust yourself that everything you're doing is enough, that your secure attachment style is on the other side of what default mode is for luteal. Feels very much like anxious attachment style in luteal, and that's normal. So it really takes a lot of channeling the securely attached version of yourself with the way that you show up in your relationships, in your friendships, your work relationships, in your social media relationships. It's like you might notice when you're in luteal, you are more hyper aware to how many likes you got on a video or how many views that you got on a video. We're more hyper vigilant to these things. And when you're on the fire frequency, everything is just amplified. And for me personally, when I was moving and launching Revenue Room, everything that was happening in the month of December, I really, really leaned into my secure attachment style and trust, knowing that my clients are thriving no matter what. I trust my clients. I trust the success that they're building, because that is the way that I like to see my life. I don't condone the story that I need to be on for my clients to see success. I trust them in their power. I trust them in their growth. And when you have this mindset and this trust with your clients, it feels so much lighter. You can hold so much more, because it's heavy to hold the energy of, I need to be on, I need to constantly be doing and exerting physical energy for my clients to get results. And that's just not true. So I want you to hold space for that new story if you're holding any remnants of that either. Thank you for being here and being on my journey. And I hope that there was something from this episode that made you feel a little bit more human in where you are in your journey as a business owner and as a coach. And I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that I see you and I hear you. And with the layers and the complexities of life and also our cycle, it's not always supposed to feel amazing every minute of every day. And it can be very hard when you're on Instagram and TikTok and that's all you see. So my intention for you was that you got to see the granularity and the authenticity and this level of what it's like to be a business owner and the way that I show up for you. So I love you so much, and I'll see you next week.
If this episode resonated with you in any way, if something clicked, expanded, or shifted for you, I'd love for you to share it and tag me on Instagram at Radiant Rahoff so I can celebrate your breakthroughs with you. And if you haven't already, subscribe and leave a 5-star review so more high-level coaches like you can find this space. Thank you for being a part of this community. I love you, and I'll see you next Tuesday.